Good morning, crafty friends. Welcome to Stamp and Create with Beth. I'm Beth Roy, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So today is Saturday, October 5th, 2024. And I'm just going to give it a few minutes here for my notifications to go out and pull up my video. Good morning, Maggie. Oops. So I'm just trying to rearrange a few things here so I can fit in my space. Good morning, Joan. Thanks, ladies, for joining me. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a couple seconds. We'll chit-chat here for a second. Today is World Card Making Day, and Stampin' Up's doing a free event later today for me. It's 2 o'clock their time. They're in Mountain Time. So unfortunately, I won't be able to participate in the event live. I have an event or a family event later, but I am curious to know if any of you are doing anything for World Card Making Day. Are you attending an event? Are you going to watch the Stampin' Up! Event? Are you just making cards on your own? I am going to make some cards on my own today. And I'm also doing a second live. So the next live event will be at 1 p.m. Eastern time today, if you can join me. If not, the replay will be on my page. Thank you, Joan. So today I want to talk about patterned paper. You know I love one-sheet wonders, as we call them. All that means is that we're chopping up our paper. We're using it on cards all at one time. And sometimes that can be a little difficult. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Deb. How are you faring? Oh, nice, Maggie. Oh, awesome, Joan. Yeah, I will probably maybe even float around Facebook and see other demonstrators that might be doing live videos. You know, we all like to inspire each other and lift each other up. So it's always fun to check out what my friends are doing too. So you're helping Deb. Deb lives in Western North Carolina. So I'm glad you guys are okay. I've definitely been thinking of everyone. I only know a few people that are down that way, and they're all basically helping with the relief. So lots of things have gone from Ohio. Today, a lot of people took things down. So lots going on, but you're definitely in our prayers. I am, Linda. I am going to do 2 lives today because today is World Card Making Day. And I'm going to be live again at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So I was going to do a new fun fold, but I haven't had a chance to really practice it. So I think for my live, I'm going to do the slanted Z-fold card. So yes, Deb, it looks devastating from what I've seen and the stories I've heard. So definitely praying for everybody. Good morning, Jenny. So here's my set of cards I made yesterday. Now, something unique to what I'm doing today, and I have to keep touching my screen to see my comments. So if you keep seeing my hand, that's what I'm doing. Hey, Xana, no worries. You are not late. We're just jumping in. One of the things that's going to be unique for today is I chose to use a 6-inch by 12-inch piece of paper. And let me tell you why I did that. So, I think, I haven't looked, I checked earlier and we were pretty close to a tie with our two papers. But I think the reindeer paper won out. So when I do a paper share, I used to cut these down to 6 by 6, but I had a request, so I changed it, and now I do 6 by 12. So if you get a paper samples, okay, a paper share, you get 1/4 of a pack. So this is what it looks like, okay? So it's double-sided paper, and you get 1/4 of this paper. And some of you might be wondering, okay, I got this paper sample. I can look at it. I can see what it looks like. The paper's gorgeous. What do I do with it? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make a set of cards with a sheet of 6 by 12 paper. So if you get a sample and you love the paper, you may end up buying a full pack. That's the point of getting the paper share, okay? So that you're not getting a full pack and you can kind of test it out. But sometimes this paper, like I love this reindeer paper, but it's busy. This is really busy paper and it may feel overwhelming. So raise your hand in the comments if the patterns feel overwhelming sometime. Good morning, Christy. Good morning, Dad. Thanks for watching. So again, raise your hand in the comments if this feels overwhelming. And sometimes our patterns are really busy. They're gorgeous, but they feel so busy and it's hard to kind of know where to chop, what to do. Oh my gosh, I don't want to cut my paper, right? Thank you for sharing, Xana. I appreciate you sharing my video. Yeah, Jenny, we know this struggle, don't we? So like I said, I asked a this or that. This was the other paper. And the color tones are very different. This is also gorgeous. This is Snowy Scenes. And it's very busy paper. So I will probably cut this one down the same. I love the snowflake pattern. I might use this side instead of this side. So you can see, I also participate in the paper share. I like to see a little bit of the papers before I keep full packs for myself. So I love this. This kind of mimics that other stamp that we have. I don't recall the name of it. It has 2 different houses in it. Here's some snowmen. So this can feel overwhelming, especially with just a repeating character, okay? So you want to chop it up. Isn't that cute? Now, this is a very different color for Christmas, okay? This is like pumpkin pie right here, pumpkin pie trees. This might be my favorite. You know, I love houses. I love house stamps. So it can feel very overwhelming. So that was the other paper choice. And like I said, this won out by just a couple of votes. So we're going to jump in with this. So let me show you my set here that I made. This was a piece of patterned paper from the Nests of Winter. And these are going to be very simple today. Okay. So you can put them on colored cardstock. You can add mats. And I forgot my, let me see if I have a Sharpie over here. I do. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. I forgot my oh my gosh, Post-it notes. I was going to write the measurements as we go so that you could screenshot or write them down. So I apologize for forgetting my tablet, but I will write on my mat and we'll go from there. So, you can mat them. And I'm just using strips of paper. When you cut down your white paper to make layers, you end up with a ton of strips. So use those up when you make these kinds of cards. So these are just some general cards. Hello, thanks, happy birthday. Here's the one I showed you the other day, just a note. And you can also use most of these sizes, okay, because this is a 5-inch card. You can use most of these sizes on your note cards too. So you don't have to make regular sized cards. And I just used some scraps that I had left over to make some little flags to go on the top of my card. And then I have space to write my message on the inside. So the only stamping I'm doing is for my greetings. And we're going to use some retired things today because I have some of my favorite Christmas greetings are retired. I do not have the reindeer stamp set, so I won't be able to use that one. But even if you get a paper share and you don't have the matching stamp set, you can still use the paper and accomplish what you want. So, you guys ready to dive in? Okay, with this, I've grabbed some cardstock that I thought coordinated. Okay, I just grabbed a pile. I also grabbed this. So, we have the scrapbooking workshop kits. And remember, I bought this one so I could see what it looked like. So, this paper you can buy with stickers. So, let me grab those out because you may decide to use those. Here's the sticker pack. So it's just a sheet of stickers, but you could use these with the paper and make cards, okay? So you could use these images on your cards. So I wanted to grab that out. But the other thing that this has, okay, is die cuts. Somewhere in this pack there's some die cuts that go with the scrapbooking kit, and there's also, I have more of this paper. Some of the designer series paper is the same, but I also have this, and some of it's too large, but you could use these, and you could use this little deer that matches the paper. Okay, so I'm not going to use those today, but that's an idea for you. If you've bought something and then you think, oh, I don't know how to use this, I don't know what I want to do with it, try to repurpose it for your cards. Now I'm not going to be able to get it back in, so that's okay. I'm going to throw it over here to the side. So I thought I might be able to bring in a few things from this. If you have the Christmas ephemera pack or some of the, there was another pack that had die cuts with it. A Little Bit Festive, I think is the name of the paper. So if you have that, there's some things that could coordinate with this in there as well. So I pulled out one of my 12 by 12 one sheet wonders, okay? And I actually pulled out two because I wasn't really sure which one I wanted to use. But I wanted to show you how this one in particular, I think I've labeled this template number 3. I forgot to put it on the back. So this is in my Stamp and Create with Beth Facebook group, okay? And you can download a printable with this. So this actually has it cut at 6 by 6. So you can use this pattern on your paper. And I'm just going to use this top one as an example. So if you lay this here, you can see how this would cut little pieces. This does some strips, and this does some bigger pieces. Now that might not go with this pattern, okay? It's a large deer. That might make some really weird cuts. So you just have to look at what size you want. is 3 by 3 really going to work? The other thing about this pattern is I can turn it and cut different ways. Okay, so depending on the orientation of my paper. So using this pattern, I could cut this way and make some different cards. And I think I would have enough deer that it wouldn't look too weird. The other thing I wanted to talk about is adapting a pattern. So this pattern cuts at 5 inches, okay, because it makes standard size cards. So this could be cut at 5 inches, and then you have a 1-inch strip left that you could cut down or layer to make cards. And you can use the other pattern on the other side. So if you have a character and it doesn't make a lot of sense to have just the deer's back end on there for a card, you just flip it over and use the other side. So first we got to decide which paper we're using. So I'm going to pare it down to 3, and we're going to go from there. Now you could use this side. So I really like this set, but I'm not sure how I would cut it. And the other side is just some little bells. Let's see. Trees. Let's do the presents. Okay, so there's 3 of my 6 sheets, okay? And we're gonna do a little voting, and then we're gonna decide how we wanna cut it. And I'm basically deciding that based on which paper we choose, okay? So it doesn't have to be really complicated. You just wanna put a little thought into how you wanna cut it. So let's vote. You guys ready? 1 is gonna be this pool party background with our deer and our little reindeer snowmen. 2 is going to be the presents. 3 is going to be this deer head with the wreath. So 1, 2, 3. Let's start the voting. And I hope I do not have a coughing fit. One and 3 are winning. Okay, let's take that one away. Which one are we going to use? Now, when you cut down your paper, you do not have to add cardstock mats. It is completely up to you. Oh. Okay, I walked away just for a moment to grab my dry erase marker because I'm not sure if Sharpie comes off of this. Somebody let me know. I've never written on my mat. I've only had ink on there and wiped it off. So I grabbed a pack of Post-it notes. I hope we're able to see with them. Okay, it looks like number 1 is 1 out. I didn't see any more votes. I will say hopefully my internet holds out. Okay, so let's just jump in. So I do have all of these colors that I pulled. I pulled gray, even though it's not in there. Okay, this is more of like a crumb cake and like a pecan pie and maybe a light early espresso. So, or actually this might be pebbled path. That might be pebbled path. But I pulled some grays because grays are a very neutral, a good neutral for winter cards. They don't feel too dreary. I think the paper, it helps the paper pop. Okay, so I have white, I have pool party, I have some grays, I have some old olive, cherry cobbler, and real red. So all of these colors can work with this paper, okay? Now we just have to decide how to cut it. And I don't have vellum, but you could kind of see if we cut it this way, and I do use my ruler, okay? If I cut it this way, you can kind of see where it's going to cut and kind of how that first piece is going to be. So because the orientation of this is this, the deer are this direction, this would be more of a landscape card. Now you could cut it kind of down the middle and, you know, make them portrait cards. It's up to you. And if we do smaller, and you can adjust these however you want. I just kind of used this as a base. I actually used this side, and then I adjusted this here, and instead of cutting strips, I cut these pieces, okay? So instead of cutting this down into strips, because then I would just have little pieces of birds, I actually cut this at 2. And then I adjusted this, and I borrowed a little bit from this down here on my design, okay? And I didn't cut 2 by 3. I left these 4 by 3 like that. So you can adjust your patterns based on your design. And see these little strips? That's where these 2 pieces came from. This is the back side of this paper. And then I had some scraps from cutting mats, and I threw it together. So that's how I adapted that a little bit. So let's see what we can do here. We might just cut this across and make some landscape cards. You could also use these for mini slimlines. If you like doing that size, the mini slimline that I do, my layer is 3 by 6. So you would essentially get 4 mini slimlines out of this. And I wouldn't add any cardstock mats. They would just be put right onto the base. So those are the options. What do you guys think? Now, I didn't bring any note cards over, but you get the idea. So this other side is the bells, and you could mix and match. Now, I do have a card layout that works with this 3 by 3. Xana, these 2 templates I have loaded in the files section of the Stampin' Create with Beth Facebook group. So we got to decide what we want to do. So let's just, so it does take a little planning. Now this side, if I was using this side, it does not matter how I cut it. It is a repeating pattern, okay? But we're talking about difficult patterns here, or things that might scare us a little bit. Okay, so I'm just laying this here so I can kind of see. If I cut at 3 inches, this is what happens, okay? Oh yes, Deb. I feel like this almost has to be like a landscape card. And then see if I come down here and cut it at, so this would be like a 6 by 6. I just get the deer's heads. So I don't really want to cut their heads off. So I've got to think of a little planning. So if I do it this way, I'm not going to get as many cards. well, I'll get 6, I think. And you can adjust this however you want. So if I cut it there, and then I cut it there, I think I like that a little bit better than the other way I was going to cut it. And then we get some, a couple more little landscape cards. Now, we'll see how this cuts. So I'm going to have a 1-inch strip over here because I'm cutting this at 5. And let's just do it. Are you guys ready? Like I said, I like the other side. So if something happens, I'll just flip a piece over and we'll have some jingle bells on the other side. So I'm going to cut this at 5, okay? Ooh, I cut my little deer here in half, but we're just gonna do it. It's gonna be okay. They're still gonna be on my card. And then this direction would be 3 3/4. And you could adjust it if you really want something in. Just adjust your sizes a little bit. Again, 3 3/4. So there's 2 layers. And when I have things like this, guess where my greeting's going to go? Up here. Up there. So don't worry about that. So I cut these at 2 1/4. So you're essentially just cutting this in half. So I'm going to kind of see where that falls. It might work out pretty good. So there's 2 1/4. So there's our other 2 layers. Came out pretty cute. And then we have this strip. And this is cute. You kind of see him, but a lot of everything else is just the, the hind end of the deer. And we don't really want that. So I'm going to use this side to make my card. Now this is 1 inch by 12. And you can get 3 4-inch pieces out of this. So that's what I'm going to do. Just so that I don't have any scraps, I'm going to just figure out how to make this my layout. Actually, I have a little bit of an idea. So there's my 3 equal pieces. This is going to go on 1 card. So this particular way I cut it, I'm going to get 5 cards. I'm going to put those all on 1 card, and then I'm going to get 4 cards out of this. So let me write those cuts down. Are you guys ready? Let's see if the purple. So I cut at 5 inches. Cut 1 was at 5 inches. Okay. Then I turned my paper and I cut at 3 3/4 inches. And then I cut again at 3 3/4 inches. And cut 4 was at 2 1/4 inches. Okay, then I cut my, not 6. Hold on. I had a 1 inch by 12 inch piece cut at 4 inches. Okay. So if you need to, if you're watching the replay, you can screenshot that. If you're watching right now, you can screenshot these cuts. So that's going to give us this is our first cut. It's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. So we're going to have 5 cards. And as I do each card, I will write the measurements off to the side for that card. Then I'll erase them. Okay? You guys good with that? I have a person that is watching, and she needs the measurements written because she is deaf, and it's hard for her to see some of these. And when I'm, even when she watches and it has closed captioning, she has a hard time catching all of these. So I'm trying to do this to accommodate everybody. Okay, so you guys ready? This might work out really well. And somebody else suggested this to me. I saw someone doing this. I forgot to bring my, let me see if my towel's in here. Okay, so let's start with our biggest piece here. And we have to decide what color it's going to go on. If I have to grab more cardstock, it's okay. I do have some pre-cut. But you could do a gray base, and you could do a matte, or we can just put it directly on the cardstock. And these pieces, I do like to do directly on the cardstock. So that's up to you. You can also use the gray as a matte to kind of help separate your colors. Okay, so you guys like the real red or the cherry cobbler? I like the darker red. So what do you guys think? And remember, I don't have, well, I have a few of the current Christmas sets, but a lot of my greetings I use from some retired sets. So use whatever you have. Real red. Okay. I see a vote for cherry cobbler. And you guys know that this live's a little longer because I like to let you help in the process. I could just easily cut this up and tell you what colors to use, but I want you to kind of get those creative juices flowing and make these decisions. This is how we become card makers on our own and not just doing what somebody told us to do for a class. So I really want you to grow in confidence in choosing your own colors. All right, I think we're gonna, for this one, we'll go with real red. And I'm gonna go ahead and make 2 card bases. So I'm putting this in my trimmer. Let's see, at the 8.5 side is going at 4 1/4. And I'm scoring really well. Then I'm gonna turn it. And on the 11-inch side, I'm cutting at 5 1/2. So I have 2 card bases ready to go. We can quickly complete our cards. Remember, you don't have to add mats. So there's that one, and there's that one. So let's add a mat for one of them, and I'm going to write the measurements over here, okay? What do you guys think? Do you want to try a gray just to break up that a little bit? Now on my bird cards, I actually used the pebbled path. So you could do a lighter gray. I don't know if I like the lighter one. You could also use the pool party, or we could do basic gray. There we go. There's my color. What do you think? Let's do one with a mat just so you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to use gray. You could use white. We could use white as well. So let me grab my piece of white here. Apparently I have 2 pieces of white. You could also use white So if you don't want gray, you don't like that transition, you could use white. So what do you think? Do you like the gray or do you like the white? Remember, when you're thinking of choices, think of your stash. And if you have mostly white and you don't have a lot of other colors, don't be afraid to use white as your layer. I see a vote for white. What do you guys think? Those of you that liked basic gray, do you still want the gray or do you like the white better? So, Xana, you're sticking with your basic gray vote. Okay. I like them both. I think they give different feelings to the card. You know, I'm huge on color theory and how colors make your cards feel and what you're conveying through those color combos. So I like them both. I think I might actually like the white more though. So what do you think? I see a lot of love. Thank you for that love. I appreciate all of it. Well, let's try the basic gray. Worst case scenario is we cut our mat and we hate it and I put it off to the side. Well, I'm going to leave one without a mat, Joan, just so that you can see what it looks like without the mat, in case you don't have a lot of cardstock and so you don't mat a lot of things. Okay, so this layer is 5 inches by 3 3/4. So we're actually going to cut this to a normal sized layer. It's going to be at 5 1/4 by 4. And this is kind of what I do when I'm cutting my paper. I go ahead and cut 2. So we're going to leave one without a mat. Okay. And I do somewhere around here, I have some white that's already cut. Let's see what I have in here. That I'll use for the inside. I think it's the smaller layer that I use, but that's okay, it works. So I'm going to put this off to the side. So for this card right here, okay, this would be like this. We have our inside piece. So our base is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. Let's see. Gray is 5 1/4 by 4. And the DSP is 5 by 3 3/4. And this one, and white is 5 by 3 3/4. And I'm sorry, I'm writing completely sideways. Hopefully you guys can catch it and read my writing. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. We're going to take a strip here. And like I said, this one, I might want to use a bigger greeting. I might even put a circle up there. But I have all these strips. Now I also have a thing of die cuts. Let me get it over here. That when I have scraps of white, I die cut a bunch of things. Okay. So I could use a strip down here just to put a little Merry Christmas. I could put my Merry Christmas up here and kind of cover up, you know, this. If you really, really didn't like this, you could just chop this off and make it smaller, okay? But you could put your Merry Christmas up here, okay? And I have Where'd my stamp set go? I have a paper pumpkin from last year that has a Merry Christmas in it that I like. Okay, so this was October of 23. I really like that Merry Christmas. And I don't have, these are my current stamp sets, and I don't have any that have a Merry Christmas in them. I love this Itty Bitty Christmas. I like to use this. Let me see. Wow, I'm digging deep. I don't have a lot of Christmases. I have this long Merry Christmas that we could stick at the top. So we are doing Christmas. I am doing holiday stamps, or I mean cards. So just pull out what you have. Your favorite Merry Christmas. This one was from, I think this was from last year. So you could use some of these bigger ones. Trying to think of what will kind of fill that space. Now this is a big stamp. There goes my stamp on the ground. So this is a big stamp. I use this a lot. But I could get a wider scrap piece out and you could have Merry Christmas along the top like this. And it's okay to cover up those pieces. Don't be afraid to use what you got and figure out how to make it work. So I have lots of different sizes of scraps because I cut a lot of layers. So I could easily stamp this and put it up here. Okay, let's do that. And I'm going to pop it up on some dimensionals. So this scrap piece, let me get my ruler out. Thank you for the love. This is a 1-inch piece. Okay, so we're going to do it 1 inch, and I'm just going to put it the full length. So where'd my marker go? So my strip, can you guys still see this, is 1 inch by 3, or no, sorry, not 3, by 5. Sorry about that. So we're going to cut this at 5, so it just fits right along there. Oh, no, wait a minute. That might cover up my deer. I might have to trim it a little bit. Maybe that won't work. I don't want to cover up my deer's head. Let's see. Maybe I'll trim around it. Okay. This is the beauty of planning your cards. So if it's there, I don't want to put it in the red. Okay, I might choose something different. Maybe I'll do, hold on. Let's do that smaller strip. So it's a 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to put it across and use the smaller one. It won't maybe necessarily fill up the space, but that's okay. So I'm going to use this Merry Christmas from the October paper pumpkin. You can use whatever Merry Christmas you have, but I'm going to cut this so it fits all the way across. So I am going to use the smaller one. It didn't work out how I planned, so that's okay. We're going to move forward. Now, when you're choosing your ink color for your greeting, the big long one, I do too, Joan, and we're gonna use it today. I'm gonna figure out a way to use it with this paper, but everybody, I hope you got this. I'm gonna erase it so that I can put my card together and stamp. Okay. And let me know in the comments if you like having this written out. Might take me a little bit longer with all the cleaning it off, but I'm trying. So when we choose a color for our greeting, these are the colors I just used in my other class. Smoky Slate, Cherry Cobbler, Basic Gray, Pool Party. You can use any color you want, but I like to choose 1 or 2 colors and just go with it. So, do we want Basic Gray or Cherry Cobbler? And I'm going to pull my trimmer in just to cut this down to 5 inches really quick. I'm going to let the greeting go all the way across. You can always trim it to be smaller, like something like this. I'm going to go ahead and cut 2. Not sure that cut straight, but it's okay. Joan says real red. I could go grab my real red. But I'm going to make this a hard choice. You didn't buy real red. Let's do that. You guys know I own all the ink colors. But I want to show you something a little different. Just in case you decided to do Christmas cards and you only bought Cherry Cobbler or you only bought Basic Gray. Real red is absolutely 100% a contender. And if you like to match everything, that's absolutely what you would do. But I know that some of you in my audience, you haven't bought every ink color. Maybe that's not within your reach, and that is okay. I don't want you to ever feel like you are disqualified from doing cards. Black is another great option. My 2 inks are tied. So let's do what I do best. So I'm going to open both of these. And the red is harder to clean. So I'm going to stamp my gray first. And I'm just going to try to guess to about the middle. It might not be perfect. That's okay. There's one. I'm going to clean my stamp. Now, my Cherry Cobbler may need some ink, but we're just going to go with it today. I've been getting like this two-toned effect with it. I don't know what's going on, but I've used my spoon. I've done everything. So maybe it feels a little sticky. Maybe it needs some ink. So that can be a clue that your ink pad needs a little more ink. Okay, so I'm just going to set those right there. I'm going to bring my card in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this so that it's a little bit easier to work with. Now, if you use this side, you could cut it down and do a lot more cards and have a little bit less of the pattern. So there's so many options with this. Sometimes the hardest part is making a choice of which paper you want to use. I like all of them. Okay, so we're going to adhere this down. And then we're going to just see which one we like. So here's that Cherry Cobbler, okay? And we're putting it up there just to kind of break apart those leftover bits that were at the top. You did, Xana? Well, it took me a while to collect all the inks. So I like to show you, sometimes maybe you were involved in a class and for the kit you bought only 1 or 2 colors and you just really haven't gotten there yet. That's okay. Figure out how you're going to use what you own to go with your paper share. Like I said, this has reds in it. This is a little bit darker, but it's still real red. This is real red. This could even be Poppy Parade. So even if you had just that ink color, you could do it. So there's our gray. And I know the little feet are sticking out, but I'm okay with that because I don't want to cover up my deer. Her little ears there. So I'm just letting a little tiny sliver show through. Now, if you don't like that and you could always put this down here because there's a little tail down there. You could always trim this and put it down here. Okay, there's no right or wrong. This is just something I saw that I thought I want to cover that up. So what do you think now? What's your assessment of our colors? I think my personal choice is I like the cherry cobbler. So we can save this for another card. Xana. It's always his fault. Linda, I agree. So a lot of times you're going to buy colors that you love, your favorites. And then I always recommend having a neutral. Whether you love browns, you need to have a brown. If you love grays, you need to have gray, or maybe even the Memento Black. So, it just kind of depends. You can also trim this down. If you don't like the white strip to go all the way across, you can trim it down. I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm going to use it at the top. You could obviously move this around depending on what your sheet looks like. So this sheet got cut in half. I don't know which half I got. So yours might look a little bit different from mine. So make the adjustments. Now you could pop this up on dimensionals. I am going to adhere all mine flat. Okay. So if you only bought one type of glue, one type of adhesive, that's what you're using. Okay. We're trying to figure this out with our supplies. So if you've been collecting paper pumpkins, and I know that's in the US and Canada, but if you have been collecting them, then you have this Merry Christmas stamp. If you've bought stamps in the past, you probably have some of your favorite Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or whatever you want this to say. If you have a Let It Snow, I don't know, whatever you want it to say, okay? And then this can go on the inside. Now, I'm going to leave mine plain. But if you had the matching stamp set, you could stamp, you know, some of the deer, the reindeer, or whatever. Or if you have a holiday set that maybe has presents or something that matches. I actually think I have, I'm not going to say I'm 100% because I don't remember seeing the stamp set when I was looking through my stamps. But I think Berry Christmas, I think that was what it was called last year, might have a set of presents. You could stamp in here to mimic some of the images that are in this. But I'm going to leave mine plain. Sometimes I write in them. Sometimes I add a little piece of cardstock and create a pocket for a gift card. So there's card number 1. Now, card number 2, we might use this Merry Christmas, or I might use a circle. So let me close my glue here for a second. Okay, so this one's pretty simple, okay? Card 2, the base is 5.5 by 8.5, okay? the layer is 5 by 3 3/4. I don't know if you guys can see the pink as well as the purple. I just grabbed a marker. So we're going to keep this one pretty simple. Now remember, I don't really love that area, but I think all this looks really cute. So you can bring in, somewhere I had it, a circle die cut and kind of put your greeting up here and cover that area. So I got to think of what's going to fit in here and what I want it to say. And I have some, of these. This is the Itty Bitty Christmas is a retired set that I loved. So it has a lot of thin, long sayings, and then it has some that fit on circles. But let's see. Ooh, now this classic, I'm never going to say this word right. Clo? I know. It's the glass thing, the dome thing. I don't know what it's called. And I probably won't say it correctly, so I'll just let it go at that. The Magic of Christmas Never Ends might fit on my circle, and I think that kind of goes with the reindeer. Okay? I like that saying. It fits on my circle. I loved this set. Okay, this little village that went in your little glass dome here, whatever that thing's called. I think I had to ask Jenny for word lessons when that set came out. I'm not perfect, but y'all know what I mean. So I probably said it right at one point. All right, so we're going to stamp a circle and put up there. And the magic of Christmas never ends. I just love that saying. It's a retired saying that went with a different set, but I think it goes perfect with this paper. So now, again, do we want to stamp it in red or gray? And since we chose the cherry cobbler last time, I'm going to pick the basic gray. Again, if you've only bought one color, don't worry about that. If you only have a black and you don't have any other colors, then use what you have. Okay? Use what cloche, Jenny said. Thank you. Cloche. See, I knew she would help me. I do love, some proper English, but sometimes even it gets away from me. Cloche. That's not really English. Is that like a French? Is that French? So there we go. So I used a circle. This is, let me tell you what size circle. Now this is from the Stylish Shapes. I have absolutely no clue which number it is. I number my dies. 1 is the largest. So this circle is, make sure I'm in the middle here. I'm going to say it's about 1 3/4. So let me write that down. My circle is 1 3/4 inches. All right. And I'm not going to grab a white piece out. It's over there. I promise all of you that I will put my white pieces in. I'm going to leave all of them plain. I'm not going to put anything on the inside. I may change that later, but today I'm just going to leave them blank for a message. So I'm just going to adhere this down. And I kind of want you to see just what it looks like without a mat. So if you don't have a lot of cardstock, maybe you didn't have any of the colors that you felt would match this, okay? That's okay. Nice, Santa. Yeah, it's a cake dome. It's a dome. It's a glass dome. I just apparently never said the word correctly or paid any attention. So, but I did love that set, and I used that set a ton when it came out. So I am going to just adhere my circle up there in my corner, kind of cover up that partial deer. Again, I'm adhering everything flat. You certainly could pop this up and just elevate your card a little bit by having some dimension. It isn't 100% necessary. It is absolutely up to you. So today I'm keeping it simple for this video, for this live, because I want you to feel like you're investing and you can use what you have on your shelf, even with paper that you don't own the whole suite for, okay? And if you have a circle punch, use that. If you don't have a circle, cut a square with your trimmer. That's okay too. So what do you guys think? Now we're down to these two. And these two pieces, let me write the measurements for these pieces. Okay. So these pieces are 5 inches by 2 1/4. Okay. So 5 inches by 2 1/4. They're the same size. We are going to make landscape cards. So our pattern happened to work out where we made all landscape cards. My other pattern, I chose a different way to cut it, and they made portrait cards, and that's okay. You can also, it might end up being a mix and match depending on your pattern. So we have these two pieces, and trying to move my stamp set so I can get to my cardstock here. So now we have to, once again, pick some paper. We can do white bases with a mat. That's what I did on, let me bring in my two from this set. So that's what I did on these because I stamped right onto my cardstock. So these, I think I'm going to use that long Merry Christmas, at least on one of them, so you guys can see that. Maybe you have that stamp set in your stash and you haven't mixed and matched it with anything. So these are going to be this size right here, okay, or about this size. And I matted both of mine and then I stamped directly on the cardstock. So how do you guys feel about using white? And then we can choose a mat. You could use red. You could use gray. You could even use Pool Party because this, I think, is more of a Coastal Cabana. I don't think it's Pool Party. I think it's Coastal Cabana. Let me see if it says on my paper pack. I want to tell you the right thing. Oh my goodness. I have an avalanche happening. Nope, it is Pool Party. It just looks a little bit darker, maybe because it's watercolored. So, what do you guys think? Any thoughts? Anybody want to jump in? So my idea is to use the white so that I can stamp on that bottom part. And then I don't have to worry about using a strip of paper. Ooh, Tracy said, oh, and you can stamp on Pool Party too. So even if we used a Pool Party base, maybe we'll do one with Pool Party and one with white. So let's go ahead and cut, I'm going to cut some bases here. and we will just jump in. Now I'm going to go ahead and score my white, the whole sheet, and do it. So I have 2 whites. Now I'm just going to cut this in half because I might want to use the other half for my base. So I cut this in half and then I'm turning it and I'm scoring it. So let me erase. I have my little towel here. It dries pretty quick, but I'm just worried. I don't want my cardstock to. So let's do this one without a mat and this one with a mat. So here's my little piece of gray that I already cut. This is for just a visual. Okay, I will cut my gray to fit. And then I still have cherry cobbler in here. Okay, or cherry cobbler. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Let's get some chatter going, some ideas going. So we'll do this one without, well, we could do a mat on this one too. Maybe you want to see, maybe the gray helps tone this down a little bit and the red works a little bit better on the white. The year that was from the Christmas barn set from last year. I am going to use that. So let's see. Do you like maybe the smoky slate would look better. Let's see. What do you think about smoky slate? I think I like that transition a little bit better. So I'm going to cut a couple of mats and then I will tell you the size. That's not going to cut anything. So I'm going to cut it at 5 1/4 because that's the length I need. And then I need to cut it at 2 1/2. Okay. So that is going to fit this, like that. And then we'll cut this one. So raise your hand in the comments. How many of you have this paper? You keep losing me? I hope it's not me. I think you have this paper, Joan. Thank you, Tracy. I like the smoky slate too. Maggie, you have this paper? Oh, no worries, Joan. Well, you know, a lot of times it's me. Okay, so we're doing these cards exactly the same, but I chose a different matte color for each one. So I just want you to kind of see a variety. I'm going to do it exactly the same. This one I'm going to stamp with my stamp positioner. I'm going to stamp It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. And this one I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas. So, and I just have to decide which color I want that to be. Now, both colors, Basic Gray and Cherry Cobbler, will show up on this pool party, okay? So I'm going to write down my card. All the measurements are the same. Hopefully you guys can see this. And then DSP is 5 by 2 1/4. Okay? Can you guys see that okay? Jenny, you have it because of the paper share. Yep. I knew you had it. And what's funny is I love reindeer. I don't collect all the reindeer stamps or all the things that we've had, but I do love the deer. I love the deer. I think even though these are reindeer, they look like just our normal everyday deer as well. Okay, so you guys got the measurements? All right, let's get to assembly and stamping. So a lot of times when I want to sit down to make my cards, I think about the paper I want, the colors that coordinate, and kind of, I guess, what my goal is, what type of cards, how many cards I'm trying to get out of that paper. And I gather those things and greetings and whatever before I sit down. But sometimes the hardest part is deciding which pattern you want. But I think if you have a designer series paper, all the colors kind of coordinate. So, well, in one pack, they definitely coordinate. But you might find a pattern that is Pool Party or Real Red, or maybe even, this looks like Granny Apple Green to me. This is Shaded Spruce. I'm sure if I looked on the pack, it would tell me, but that's what I'm seeing. So I don't know if that's exact, but you have all these colors in here, and you may find a stripe or a polka dot or a snowflake paper or something that matches similar to this, and you can mix and match and see what you like, okay? So you don't have to use all the paper from the same exact paper pack. I just like to match the colors. So that's the beauty of having a little bit of all the designer series paper, is you may have some that will match other packs as well. So sometimes I mix and match a couple of designer series papers, and I don't just put one on my card. So just a little food for thought if you're trying to kind of stretch some of your papers and you do smaller cuts. Deb has the paper share. Joan, you bought the bundle. So, do you love the stamp set? Have you used it very much, or? I'm debating because I do like the deer. But when you're on a budget, sometimes you have to maybe wait and see if it's something that you really want to invest in. And that's okay. It's okay to have that. I want you to buy things you love and you're going to use. I don't want you to buy things you're going to put on your shelf and not use. I have too many of those sets. I was thinking about that the other day. I have some sets I have not used yet, and I need to get those out and use them. And I just folded my paper a little lopsided. So let me try to fix that really quick. There we go. Still a little lopsided. Apparently it's going to be that kind of day for me in card making. No worries, it's just paper. It'll fold. So I'm going to put this here, and then we're going to stamp onto these. Really, I would, when I post these cards, Joan, I would love to see what you made with it if you don't mind sharing. I would be happy to know what you made with these. Joan always makes very pretty cards. Like I said, you could make some really cute things with this. Even if you were cutting smaller pieces or cutting around these characters and making little treat boxes or something. I just think it's really cute paper. And sometimes we can get the paper and use the images with our favorite greetings. Thank you, Joan. Yes, Anna, I feel ya. Too many wants. I have a lot of wants. Okay, so we're going to stamp our greeting directly onto this. Again, when I post these, I will try to post the measurements for every single card. Just cleaning this stamp. I use this red ink with this. So I don't know how clean it is. Pull this off. Now, should we stamp with basic gray? Again, I'm using my stamp positioner. I don't trust myself to do this perfect on the first try. So you use whatever you have. I have the old Stampin' Up! Version that's no longer for sale, but that's what I have in my stash. So I have this greeting. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It is a little tiny greeting. So I do have some other ones that are stacked or a little bit bigger, but I want a long greeting. And I am going to grab out that Merry Christmas. Now, this is a fun, scripty Merry Christmas, but I really like it. So I'm going to do both of these. I'm going to do Merry Christmas on this one down here, and I'm going to do It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year right here. I just need to figure out which color I want to use. So do I want to use basic gray or cherry cobbler? So my colors are up here. And you might decide I want basic gray on this one and I want to do the red because it matches my matte on this one. I think either one works very well. If you have black, use black. Even if you have smoky slate, okay? If you have smoky slate and you have a stamp positioner, you can continue to ink it and restamp it, and it's going to get darker and darker. So that's an option too. For you, if you're at home and stamping and you don't have exactly what I have, don't fret. It can be worked out. Xana's suggestion was to buy something you can make 3 to 5 different reasons. That's a very good rule of thumb. You got the house stamp and the punch. I have not invested in that. I do have a lot of previous house stamps with dies, and so I was really kind of mulling that over because it's such a cute set. So Joan says basic gray on the pool party and cherry cobbler on the white. Okay, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. So what I'm going to do, now this one, if you have a mat for photopolymer that goes with your stamp positioner, make sure you have that in there. And I'm going to pull this away from my edge a little bit. And I'll put my magnets down here. So I have it all the way to my edge. And I'm going to put this down here. And I like mine a little off center. You can do yours however you like. And I'm going to stand up for this. If you guys craft standing up, you know what I mean here. I don't do well sitting. So I'm going to pull this over a little bit. I'm going to pick this up. And then I'm going to ink it with the basic gray. And hope I really got that red cleaned off. If not, we might have a little fun effect going on here. So it didn't stamp exactly how I wanted. I'm going to ink it again and stamp it again. That's why I use the positioner. So if you have the Misty, you're going to want to get it out and use it. I think this is, I don't know if it's my stamp or if it's how I ink it, but sometimes I got to do that end a little bit more. I'm trying not to squish it because I don't want my letters to spread. So there is our first one. I love that. Isn't that cute? This would be a great card for a kid, or if you're like me and you still love all those fun little characters and things. I love Rudolph. I love to watch Rudolph. So it works. Okay, so I'm going to clean that in a minute. I'm just going to pop this around here. And I want to stamp Merry Christmas on this one. And this is really going to fill this space. So I'm trying to get it about the middle. But I am not good with the cling stamps. So I'm going to test this out first. Santa said, you make gingerbread houses and hang them on the tree. Oh, that's such an awesome idea. I love that. I love that idea, Xana. Thank you for sharing. I kind of want to do that too. Now, I'm going to pick this up and then test it out. But I want to make sure I know where I put my card. Okay. So I'm picking this up. And then I'm going to move my card. And I know it was right here. You could use a pencil to mark it. But I'm stamping this in Cherry Cobbler, so I want to really make sure that it's straight. And that is how I want. And I'm just going to use my grid paper that I have down here to make sure that it's how I want it. And it might be kind of hard to see. Mine's really dirty and really used. Oh, and I forgot to do something here. I'm going to take this piece out. Your red rubber and cling stamps do not need that extra cushion. I think I did pretty good. It looks pretty straight. And the best part about that is this is scripty. So if it's off a little bit, it looks like handwriting. I'm going to turn this over just because that red ink takes a bit. And I'm going to be regretting it here in a minute, probably, trying to line up my card. But it takes a minute for that to kind of dry. So let's see. Let's see if it's dry. Look how much I use my paper. I don't want it to come off on my card. I just don't, I'm afraid it's going to transfer. So put some extra support back here. So I had it on that too. And I could have worked it out even if I put it on the other side. It would have been okay. All right, you guys ready? Hold your breath if this makes you nervous. It's okay. Breathe through it. I promise it's going to work out. And if it doesn't, we'll figure it out together. Okay, so I've inked it up with my Cherry Cobbler. And I need to ink it a little bit, or maybe press down a little bit more. I think that might have been the problem on my two ends. I'm trying not to touch this stamp that I haven't cleaned. There we go. Still didn't. Good enough. I like it. So it looks like I hand wrote that Merry Christmas. I'm gonna stamp this a little bit and get that off, but then I will clean it later. Okay, so now we're down to one more card. What do you guys think? Oh, thank you for that, love. I appreciate you. Thank you, Joan. So even though none of these things went together, they weren't even sold at the same time, they all coordinate and work really well together. So if you got the paper share and you're thinking, how am I going to use this sheet? This is how. You just pair it with things you already have, and you let the scenes or the images do all the work. Thank you, Zana. So there's 4 of our cards. Now remember, this didn't make a lot of sense to use it this way. So I'm turning it over and I'm going to use it this direction. Okay. So we're going to use the 3 strips to put on a card. And I'm going to use a die cut of something. I'm not sure which one. And we're going to stamp a greeting. Just trying to. Now see, this one has an "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year" as well. This one says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Let me see, what else do I have here? I have so many things. This one's kind of fun. This went with, we had some small little cups, and so that's what this went with. Eat, drink, and be cozy. That could be cute with the bells. Ooh, actually, let's do this. 'Tis the season to be jolly. So this was I think this was from last year, and I loved the size of these. I think that goes really well with the bells. You could also say, have yourself a merry little Christmas, but I'm going to put this on a die cut, and we're going to put all the strips together, and put a die cut over top, and super simple, right? So again, if you aren't there yet, you don't have a cut and emboss and you're not die cutting, you could easily use a rectangle, stamp your greeting, cut around it, whatever works for you would be absolutely fine. So let me get out my little magic stash here and see what we have that would fit this greeting. So I'm going to put these away. Now I am going to give you a little tip about this cherry cobbler ink. Do not touch it or lay anything on it for a few minutes after you've stamped it. It's very dark, it's very juicy, and it does take mine a few minutes to fully dry and soak into the cardstock. So I don't like to lay anything on top of it. I've smeared it a lot of times, so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to my cherry cobbler ink. I love the color, but sometimes it comes back to bite me when I want to quickly assemble my card. So I'm just giving you a little warning there to wait. So I'm just trying to see if I have a circle, or I have squares. I have, they're called rectangles. I have this. Let's see. Well, this fits on there. Now it's a little bit bigger than my greeting, but that's okay. I have, if you guys have the tailor made tags from a few years ago, I have those. You could easily stamp on one of those and put it on and use some of your favorite ribbon. Ooh, there's a, I don't think that'll fit. I think I either have really large circles or just too small. This is a deckled circle that fits on there too. So what do you guys think? Let's see if I have any bigger pieces that, oops, that aren't crazy big. Got a lot of little things, which is typically what I use. So if you, again, if you don't have a greeting, you just take a piece of white, you stamp this on, and you fussy cut around it. So I like to, like I said, I use my scraps. I do a bunch of die cutting and I stick them over there for when I need them. Excuse me. And you could use that other half of the pool party. We ended up not using it for a mat, or you could use white. So I see a vote for the circle. So just to give you a visual, this would go like this. They don't have to be straight. They can be wonky. They can be fun. And then you just pop your greeting on. So you could do a fun color. You could do tone on tone with the red, or we could do white. You could do gray if you just want to do some, you know, keep it kind of monochromatic. Okay, you guys like the circle? Okay, let's put that away for another day. So now we just need to know which color we want our base to be. Grab a block here. And we need to stamp this. Now, I will have here's a confession. Ready? I love using circles because if I stamp this and it's not 100% straight, it doesn't matter because it's on a circle. So I get more nervous stamping on these because I'm worried about if I got it exactly straight because it's a rectangle. So, but now if you use the deco rectangles, it probably wouldn't matter because it kind of looks like a torn edge. But that's my little crafting confession is I like to use the circles. Now I just have to decide what color. Do I want to use gray? Again, if that's the only color you have, 100% okay. Or cherry cobbler. So if you want to throw in your, oops, I've got everything getting crazy over here. Throw in your thoughts. Again, here's the base. And then I have 3 strips. They are 1 inch by 4 inches. We are unanimous on this one. I love it. Okay, I'm going to tuck this under here. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my circle here really quick. Now, remember how my ink was playing kind of funny and I'm not sure what's going on with it. Sometimes I have a little problem with the darker ones. And like I said, sometimes it seems to be kind of juicy, but it's not. It needs a little more ink, but I'm going to do that another day. And I'm just going to stamp this. And if it has that kind of dark to light effect, that's okay. It's just going to give my card some character. Oh, that one did really well. So maybe I fixed it yesterday when I smushed all the ink around. And I will have to say, a lot of times the red rubber stamps, that's what these are, they stamp differently than photopolymer, so it could be something with my stamp too. Okay, so this is just for a visual. You could do a fun color, do your strips, and then this is going to go right like that. Very simple, okay? I love doing this. We tend to have lots of strips of DSP or designer series paper, patterned paper, that doesn't get used up. So you could do something like this. You can make it a portrait, or you can make it a landscape. I'm going to make this one portrait just because all the other cards were landscape. So I'm just going to do it different. What do you think? Do you like the pool party? Or do you like kind of a tone-on-tone monochromatic look? And you don't have to have them clear to the top. You can do them more toward the middle. Or do you like the monochromatic look here with just white and red? And it's not straight, so just visualize how that would be. What do you think? Let's hear a quick last vote. And this is our last card we're going to finish up for this Coffee and a Card Live. So we've got pool party and we've got white. Let's make it easy. Let's do 1 and 2. 1 is pool party, 2 is white. I see a lot of votes for pool party. I think it's going to win. Isn't pool party and the reds just such a fun color combo? Jenny likes monochromatic. Joan, that one's pool party. Pool party. Hi, Sharon. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's do it. We're going to do a fun color. Now, you could have used all of this side and done, just this little fun bell pattern. Now, I didn't score this because remember, I wasn't sure if I was going to use it as a mat. So I'm just going to fold it in half. And this is why I like to score it. See how it's kind of tough right there to kind of get my fold? That's why I like to score my card. Now, if you have the Stampin' Up! Trimmer, your scoring blade is right on your trimmer, okay? So you can score your paper and cut your paper all with your one tool. Okay, so there we go. There's our pool party. I'm going to go ahead and erase this. So and I'll measure the circle and write that down on the side here. Again, this is from the Deckled Circles. I don't know the exact number. Sorry, these are just in my stash. So it's about a 2.5 inch circle. So I'm going to write that up here. So if you're copying and you don't have the exact dies or you have punches, you can do the same size. Ooh. I'm not worried about what order these go in. I'm just kind of, I'm going to start with the middle one, and then I'm going to do the other two. Now, this pattern's not, is pretty random, so you can't really tell if it's not lined up perfect. So don't worry there. And I'm just kind of slanting them a little bit. This is 4 inches, so it fits, you know, our card's 4 1/4, so it fits really wide. But I will say, if you would cut these at 3, you could have 4 pieces. So there's a variation for you. And then I'm going to add this right on top. Okay, so there we go. There's our cards. Now, remember, I use the basic white piece on the inside. I keep a bunch pre-cut. So I will just grab these out to put on my cards. So this piece is 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And I'm just going to adhere mine on the inside. Again, you could stamp whatever you want in there. Okay, so you might want to stamp Merry Christmas. Maybe you have some other images that you want to go with that. Okay, there we go. What do you guys think? Make sure you give my video some love if you've enjoyed this. So there are the 5 cards. If you don't have this paper and you'd like to grab it, you can visit my online store at bethroy.stampinup.net. Thank you for that love. I appreciate it. What else? I have a couple other announcements for you guys as soon as I can figure out what I did with my papers. My goodness. It has been one of those days for organization for me. Somewhere I have, here we go. So, upcoming things. The October Paper Pumpkin Nest of Christmas. You have till October 10th to grab that box. It coordinates with the Nest of Winter in the mini catalog. Also, if you've never had Paper Pumpkin, you can get 40% off your box in October. So you got to do that by October 10th. We have a starter kit special for $99 plus tax. You can pick $155 worth of product in your starter kit. So if you want to join me in this journey and get a discount on your craft stuff, make sure that you grab this deal by the end of October. Now, this is probably the best news I have. Well, besides the deal, that's the number one. This is the second best, I guess. Stamp sale next week, Monday through Wednesday. 15% off of all the stamps in the 2024-25 annual catalog. So, if you have some things on your list and you want to invest in those, you're ready to grab them, you can grab them on sale next week, okay? I know, Xana, I hate that you guys can't get this. Also, right now, there's a kits sale, so that's something you can get if you're not in the U.S. or Canada. Our kits are on sale this month as well, so I don't have a graphic for it, but there you go. So thank you for the love. Thanks for joining me. I will see everyone that can meet me back here at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to do a fun fold. So see you guys in just a bit. Take care, and I hope you enjoy our World Card Making Day, and I can't wait to see what cards you work on today. See you soon. Bye for now.